Welcome to the DTW Wellbeing Podcast with me, DC. I'm very grateful to say that I have my very first guest on the DTW Wellbeing Podcast today. So it's Caoimhe O'Dwyer. Welcome, Caoimhe.
Thanks so much for having me.
Well, thanks for coming on board. You know, I was getting lonely. I did like 9 podcasts by myself, and I already have a reputation for being a bit odd. So, like, speaking that long to yourself, it's not cool. So, welcome, Caoimhe. So, Caoimhe, now tell me if I'm wrong, but I feel as though I have a clue as to what you do with your life, even a bit. So, Pilates instructor, fitness instructor, and I definitely know you're a model because, you know, we would have worked together in that regard, in that industry. But in terms of well-being, you're a Pilates instructor and a fitness instructor. Tell me more.
So I do many things. I always have, and it's quite nice to do a range of things. It keeps me busy. It keeps me creative and motivated to keep improving in each section. But I am definitely going down the Pilates road as my main thing now. I love my modeling. I mean, that would be my dream to just model full time. But as we know, that's just not realistic.
It's not if we can't do it, nobody can. And
exactly.
And so Pilates, right? I'm going to just hands up, right? I am so ignorant when it comes to Pilates. I don't even know what it really is. I just know that you put up fancy videos on your social media and it looks class. Tell us what Pilates is.
So many people actually don't know. It's so funny. Like what I would do is tell them it's like yoga, but it's not like yoga. So it's more about strengthening the body from the inside out. There are stretches involved as well, but it's more about like rehabilitation, and it's coming more into like sport teams, and so you're going to really see it, I think, in the coming years, more people doing it. I think it has a reputation of being like a mommy's kind of getaway, but it's not. It's for everyone. And I've worked with teams, and I work online now with my business, and then I do my studio classes as well. So everyone should do it.
Well, look, brilliant. And like, so I'd fancy myself as a, you know, a fitness instructor, personal trainer. Like, I work with strength and conditioning. I know all the value of it. And when I do watch your videos, I do get that vibe that, it's great exercise. Can you tell us a little bit more in terms of like, how is it, useful for strengthening the body or for flexibility, or, why, if everybody should do it, why should everybody do it?
Yeah. So, you know yourself nowadays, like people, the habits that we have, we sit way too long. Our bodies were not once what they were once upon a time. I always say to people, the foundation of our body has become very weak. And if the foundation is weak, think about it as a house. If the foundation is weak, the walls, they won't break down straight away, but over time, so over many years, they will start to crumble. And you see so many people in pain these days. And I think it's just given that it's okay to be in pain, but it's not. And there's many different issues going on, and you need to look at the body and you need to take care of the body. Does that explain a little bit more?
Totally. Absolutely. And I'm all about that. And I say that all the time, everybody needs to be exercising. It's not just, the people that are full of health and, full of youth. It's something that we have to do for our whole lives. And
I think it's about moving more during the day. We're sitting and we're trying to fit in an hour of exercise at the end of the day, and many people can't do that. So get up and move, every half an hour.
I totally agree, and I do. Totally. And like what you were saying there about, once upon a time we did fit our environment because we were working in fields and hard labor, everybody was moving, whereas we're not anymore.
We didn't have cars, we had no import. No. But look, times change, and that's not really realistic anymore. So we just need to move more.
Absolutely. Well, it's great. And it's great that you're offering that facility through your Pilates, because, it is so important. So look, 2020, shit show of a year. Let's just call a spade a spade. I know we're only, what do we start, September? So 8 months have passed and they have been odd, very odd. So like COVID-19, lockdown, everything else, like it's affected lots of people. How has it affected Caoimhe? Tell me, how has your experience been over the last 8 months?
Like, my experience has been okay. Obviously with my businesses, they had to shut down, but I just kind of went with the flow. I learned a lot. I moved my business online. I was actually starting to make a YouTube, and then kind of COVID hit, so we all had to lock down. So that kind of pushed me a little bit in that direction.
Okay.
But yeah, it's been hard. Like the classes had to stop, my boot camp, my classes, studio classes had to stop. But
it's great that you were like already considering going down the avenue of YouTube and online. Like you had a head start. A lot of people, professionals, myself included, probably got forced into that. Whereas if you were planning it already, you know, that was handy.
And it's not easy, and I don't think it's for everyone. Not every person will enjoy it online, but I love it, and I think that is the route I want to go. I've made my own little studio at home, so that's what I have to do over lockdown.
That's in your house?
Yeah, like this is my study. Yeah.
Nice.
So just throw off the dressing gown, throw off the slippers, and I'm working.
Nice. That is the dream. That is the dream. Like this is my bedroom, and I don't do anything except sleep and talk to myself. But at least I get to talk to somebody today. So that kept you busy, obviously converting that, and you know it looks class. I thought you were renting a studio in the city when I saw your stuff online.
Great. Yeah, no, I can. It's brilliant.
And did you do that? Like that's something that you would have been working on during like lockdown and things like that?
Well, I have to give the credit to my mom because she did it for me.
Our mom was the best. Like there's nothing they can do. Yeah, well, you know what? If it was your idea, it was a good idea. But well done, Mom. Like
but you should have seen the room beforehand. Oh my God, it was just one of those, you know, cluttered rooms in the house where everything gets put into. So now all that stuff is just put into a different room, and then I have this.
Somebody else's problem. Somebody else's problem.
Exactly.
That's class though, and if to have it at home, you know, it's just convenience. Like, you know, your commute to work has been shortened drastically, which is handy.
Brilliant. That's what a lot of people like online is there's no commute if you want to join a class. There's no babysitter needed. It works great for people, and there's, you know, good audio, good visuals. Perfect.
Well, so perfect is a strong word. Queenie, you know that I have problems with technology. Like,
oh, I know. It is tough, yeah.
Well, it's subjective. It depends on the individual. Me, it's tough. Most people, it's not. But
you never know. You never know. The internet could go, like, your battery could die, or something that happened to me the other day was Zoom just deleted my scheduled meeting. So I was like, and it was like 5 to 7 and my class starts at 7, and I was like, how am I going to get to everyone in time? I just made a big WhatsApp group and then sent in the thing, but that's not really good either because you can't be giving off details and stuff. So I would in future just email everyone, try as best I can, but I'm not great at technology either. So
what I find it when everything like that happens, like, and that happens to me probably more than most, I try to just learn from the experience every time and just promise that it doesn't happen twice. I almost expect things to happen once, but not twice. They say a mistake once is a mistake, twice it's a decision. So
exactly.
That's good so that we learn as we go. So so it looks like you pivoted and improvised well in terms of business and, you know, your startups and things like that. How did you find this, like yourself personally? You know, I do know, like I'm a well-being coach, and you know, I'm all about well-being. And I do know that a lot of people have really struggled, like just themselves in terms of their state of mind and like how relaxed they felt, and et cetera, et cetera. And like, especially like maintaining a routine. I've had a lot of people reach out to me as like, look, since I haven't got to the office, I just can't develop this routine myself. How did you find it yourself? Like, how did Caoimhe, like outside of business, how did you find the last 8 months?
I was okay, do you know what? Because I didn't do much beforehand anyway. I didn't go many places.
You're thinking better than I know.
I swear to God, like I was happy as ever. And I got to spend time doing things that I wouldn't have had the time to do before lockdown. I am very lucky that I live at home, you know. I have no bills to pay. Well, I do, but not, you know.
Yeah. No,
and my family's healthy. There's no underlying conditions, and not that we know of, thank God. So I think the time has just gone so fast. Like it feels honestly like maybe 2 months, but it's been like 8 months.
totally agree with that. Like when I meet people, I met a guy in town yesterday, and it's like, so how have you gone? I was like, you know what? For the last 3 months, I just focused on myself and focused on my PhD and things like that. And it's like 3 months then. Like this
Yeah.
started in March. I was like, whoa. I've just always been saying 3 months. Um, but like, yeah, it's gone really fast. But when you think of all the like slow days and like the things where like when you think
Yeah.
back when life was normal, like not the new normal, I
Yeah.
suppose it does seem like a while back. But I'm glad things have been okay for you. I'm glad that you've, those conditions aside, there's lots of people that would have had the same conditions and not have done so well. So I'm glad that, you've come through it kind of unscathed and you've been able to maintain your personal well-being during this time. If you were to kind of like give a suggestion or a recommendation, or if you were to say to somebody else that, like, what would you recommend for people to stay healthy, stay happy, regardless of the situation or the scenario? What would be your tips for like maintaining health and maintaining happiness generally?
In general, stay off your phone as much as you can. Stay off the news as much as you can. Do things that make you feel good. Again, movement. If you like reading, buy a new book. Make sure you schedule that time out for yourself. It's very hard to give advice. I feel like I don't know enough myself to give advice because I kind of went through a good time during lockdown. So I'm not too sure how people felt who didn't have a good time. But you might be able to say something better than me.
I agree with you totally there, because everything is so individual to the...
So individual.
You have to be. But like there are some like, base levels that everybody should be doing. And you said there, like in terms of movement, like that's us.
And stay in contact with family and friends and keep talking.
Yes, yeah, I'd agree with that too. That connectivity is also very important for everybody. But then those individual ones, that's, I like to journal, other people like to paint, other people like to listen to music, other people like to dance. Those ones are a little bit more personal, but I think you hit the nail on the head there in terms of exercise, connectivity. I was interested in what you said there about your phone. Would that be more to do with like people spending too much time on social media? Like, what do you think about social media yourself?
Yeah, well, when you're saying about spending too much time, if you look at your screen time on your phone, you will be shocked. Like, even on days where I think I'm not on social media, it could be up to like 7 hours. And I think there's a lot more people out there who spend even more time. So it could be even up to 10 hours a day that you were looking at a screen. And when you look at it that way, you're like, oh my God, I need to put this down. I don't need to pick it up so much. Social media. Exactly. Totally. Like, just look up, in regards to social media, it's a very tricky one. We could spend all day talking about it. Yeah. But like you said something earlier to me.
Yeah, like it's kind of my spiel on social media. I'm just like, I'm really consistent with it because I absolutely believe it, that social media is brilliant when you use it to your advantage and you make it work for you. But it can be quite unhealthy when, the social media controls you as opposed to the other way around.
And I found it myself in a really good space now because I've learned to use social media as just like a creative space for myself. I don't really share too much other than like my modeling and then my Pilates. So I have 2 pages now.
I saw that you recently set up your own Pilates page, right? What's the tagline for that on Instagram?
It's Pilates with Caoimhe.
Give her a follow, lads. Give her a follow. Awesome. Go on, tell me more. What was the rationale behind setting up like a Pilates specific social media account? So
again, I learned that I felt a little bit of pressure on my main account, and there was just something not sitting right with me about sharing them both together. It just wasn't working for me. I didn't want to feel the pressure, so I decided to set up a second account. And even now I'm really enjoying, like, I only have only 300 followers, but I'd rather, and I know for a fact those 300 followers are my clients. So I'd rather have 300 clients that I can actually put my knowledge out to for them to actually take in, rather than 4,000 followers and only getting maybe 100 people engaging with me.
Amazing.
And then I get to keep my own page for my modeling and just a creative space. But again, I do not put pressure on myself. And it's really sad because I've had a glimpse of that pressure, and God knows what, you know, the bloggers feel like. These people who are always posting every single thing about every part of their day. It's really, really sad at the end of the day. And they must feel this huge amount of pressure the whole time. And they shouldn't, because you owe Instagram nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with that. And I think that, you know, especially young people need to get that understanding. Like whenever like bloggers and people who do it professionally, like I guess that, you know, that's kind of a pressure that if you've chosen that as a career path, you got to maintain it, right? So it's still going to be really stressful and pressurized, but if that's your job, it's your job. But I think like even myself, like I would have had my modeling Instagram page, I would have set up like 3 or 4 years ago only because I wasn't on Instagram for like a good while prior, because when I was on it as a like a teenager in Cork, or like in my 20s in Cork, I just felt a weird kind of pressure and putting out, you know, bullshit stuff. You know, I wasn't really representative of Danielle as a person. So I actually deleted them all. I just wasn't on it. And then when I started modeling and started, you know, kind of my PhD and things like that, I felt, you know, it's something that I have to get back into. But I draw a line, like you there. You know, very little of my actual personal life would go on to it, because for me, that's healthy. For me, that's good for my well-being. Like, I have a modeling page with a bit of my stuff, and I have my DTW stuff, which is all well-being stuff. And it's a kind of a line that allows Daniel as a person to remove himself from it.
Exactly. You know, and there's always a new app to take your attention, like TikTok. I was on TikTok yesterday for the first time. I think it took me 2 hours to make a video, and I said, never again. I'm never doing it again, because I think young...
There's 10 years between us. So how you felt about TikTok? I felt about everything. Like I remember that with Bebo. You weren't born.
Well, I wasn't on Bebo. I'm too young.
Yeah, but so everybody has to experience that, I guess. But it's just, again, it can be fun. I quite like it. Like you were saying there about your main page, I have mine as a creative page, and I like it. It's a bit of fun, and you know, that's useful because it can make you feel good. But if I was feeling that I had to post every time and I had to put on this facade, it's heavy. Like, you don't need that.
And when you look at your Instagram, I was only looking at mine before this, and I think I follow like 4,000 people or something. I mean, I don't even know 4,000 people personally. It's a bit crazy, like, but I'm becoming a bit more aware of who I follow. So because when you go onto Instagram, probably the same people who you follow will come up, because Instagram has some weird way of doing that. I don't know. But you're comparing yourself to those people every day, every time you go onto your phone, and you might not realize it, but in the back, you know, somewhere back there somewhere, you're taking this information in and you're comparing yourself. So just be aware of who you are following, and realize that the world is so much bigger than those 4,000 people that you're following. You know, there's better people to follow. Yeah.
Could not agree with that more. I think that's solid advice, no matter who it is. I think that's really good advice, Caoimhe. So thanks for that. And I wish you all the best now with that Caoimhe at the Pilates page that you have, because you know, I call a spade a spade. You're so good with the content you put out in terms of the well-being and the Pilates stuff. Well, look, credit where it's due. It's really, really impressive. So I hope it goes as well as possible for you. And those numbers, even though, you know, we don't care too much about them, they will grow. Invariably, they will. So that's good. And I'm glad, you know, that, look, it's just though you've handled COVID-19 and the situation as well as possible. So well done, you. Your man helps, no question, but like generally speaking, you've done well. Another thing that I know you're interested, right? And again, like the Pilates, it's an area I'm quite ignorant in. It's the area of athletic footwear and like what we should be wearing just for our feet in general. I know you have a passion, I know you have an interest, and I want you maybe to educate me and the rest of the listeners, please.
I love this subject. I could speak for hours, honestly. I don't know how I got into it. Okay, so weird. Like all my friends are like, "You're talking about feet again." So, you know, for many, many years, we've listened to what our parents say and we take that on board. So I was always taught to wear supportive footwear that has a good insole, you know, a thick insole. That's what I've been wearing all my life. I don't know about yourself, but if you
I'm
think
currently
about
wearing slippers, but go on.
it, when you think about it, when you're a baby, and if you look at a baby's foot, how wide it is at the bottom, you know, the toes are spread, they're not mangled together, and the foot looks quite strong, even though it hasn't hit the floor yet. And then straight away, we're putting children into shoes as quick as we can, which we should be letting them walk barefoot as long as we can. And over many years, we start to put heels on us, we start to put work shoes on us that will narrow the foot, and we destroy our feet over time. And the whole thing about a barefoot shoe is that it is thin, so your whole foot can feel the floor. And your foot is a sensory, and is there to sense what is underneath you. It's wide where the toes are, because the toes should not be mangled. I always think about, look at your granny's feet. That's not what you want when you're older. And then it's flexible, so you can actually take off the shoe and you can nearly fold it over. So that lets your feet move and be strong. And when you put your foot into a shoe that is thick, narrow, and super tight, you're taking the ability away straight away. Your muscles in your feet are like, oh, I don't need to work. They become weak. And you see a lot of issues upstream coming from the feet. And I think if we get people into natural footwear at an early stage, I think this is what should happen. We're going to see less people in pain as well.
That makes total sense.
Yeah, it does. And again, like, we're up against huge companies that would nearly, you know, and these companies are using influencers then to show their footwear, to sell their footwear. So it's very hard to go up against. There's not many people spreading the word. So I'd like to do that more and keep that up.
Well, I think that's going to be of value, because like, I consider myself like, you know, a health professional and a teacher and things like that. And I consider myself, you know, fairly well educated in this area. I didn't know about that. And I didn't know that like a lot of shoes that I could potentially be wearing mightn't be the best. But like, they're not in mainstream stores, are they? Those sort of shoes you're talking about.
That's the thing. Like, you can make better choices with the shoes you already have. So before I bought my natural footwear shoes, I actually bought another pair the other day in a different color so I can wear them more. I just made a better choice of what I had there. So look at your shoes. Pick the best shoes that you can, that are thin, that are wide at the bottom, and you're off to a good start. And then you can look into buying these shoes. The shoes that I bought are Vivo Barefoot. I think they're an English brand, maybe.
Are they the ones with the 5 fingers like a glove? Are they the one we're talking about? No. Yeah.
No, but that's what people do think about. But these are covered now. So it looks like a normal shoe. It's not ugly. It's actually quite slimming, which is funny because they are wide at the top.
Nice.
But like, they're the same price as a normal runner. And I have felt so much benefits already from them. Like, when I go for walks now, I can feel everything underneath my feet. And it's very nice to be near the ground. Yeah. It's a really nice feeling. So that's a little bit about shoes.
But that's useful. Like, you're educating us, you know, because this is something that people don't know about organically. And it's a shame because, like, you know, we just want to be the healthiest, happiest, best version of ourselves. So all these things can contribute.
And I'll throw out a figure before we move on. So, which is just fascinating, I think. 70% of our movement and feedback comes from our feet. I think it's 20% eyes and then 10% ears, something like that.
Whoa.
Just shows you, if you put a big insole between your foot and the ground, you're probably taking a huge percentage of your, you know, ability to get feedback from your feet to your brain. And that's what causes bad movement patterns and like instability. And it just shows you, when you look at older adults, why are they losing their balance? Because they're not stable through the feet. So that's a little bit of education there for you.
Keep educating. Whoever can listen to you and whoever will listen to you, that's an important message to send to you, because it is important. Because as you said, upstream, there's granny losing the balance and falling down the stairs. Like, these are things that
hip problems, knee problems.
avoidable. Look, and like, I think that's really good. And like on that point of education, like and like learning and things like that. Look, I'm just a nerd that has like never left school essentially as a full blown adult. I've just never left, right? But I actually, strangely enough, the type of education that I enjoy the most is self-directed learning. You know, I will do the exams and the essays and blah 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 when I have to, and you know, luckily now I'm in a subject that I'm interested in to do that. But generally speaking, I just love reading books. You know, and the books that can interest me and can improve me. That's my favorite thing in the world to do, I think. And I know you have a similar passion, so maybe tell us a little bit about your experience and like your up to now. What have you enjoyed about self-directed learning, or what sort of books do you like reading, or like what would be your kind of stuff?
I have actually a few books beside me. I'll show you now in a minute. But I used to be never a reader, like, and it stemmed from school because I was not very good at English, and I kind of kept those beliefs with me all the way through, maybe up until maybe a year ago, and I'm 23. So many years of kind of thinking that I couldn't read. I'd read a page and nothing would go up into my head. I would be thinking of other things as I read the page. But when you coming back to the question a little bit more, I think when you're ready, things will come to you in amazing ways. So again, people would suggest books to me, or I'd see it online, and I think they're little ways, and I'm going to sound a bit quirky here, but I think they're ways of the universe giving you signs to go and read that book. And if you're ready for that book, you'll get through it. I read this book, Tony Robbins. Well, I bought it about 5 years ago, and I didn't even get through the first chapter. So I was not ready back then. But I picked it up again, started lockdown. I had the time to read. It took me ages now to get through it, but I got through it. And I could see my little highlighted bits from when I first went through it. And it's just amazing. His book is brilliant. It will really kick you up the bum and get you going.
Well, we all need that sometimes, don't we? We all need that sometimes.
Yeah.
Tony Robbins, I couldn't agree more. Like that's like we belong in common, but like I actually saw Tony speak live in Sydney, and it was just like one of these moments where like, holy shit. Like I talk a lot about like energy exchange and how like one person's, you know, persona or personality can change the energy in a room. He changed it for thousands of people. I was in like about 10 rows in, I was like, yes. I've actually never read his books, but they've been on my list. That's one of about 3 books of his that I have on my list. I just haven't got around to yet. But
he's great.
Now that you give me that recommendation, that's the kick up the bum I needed. I'm going to buy that book soon.
The Secret as well is a really good one, a really good read. What else do I have here? A New Earth. Now this is it's not that easy to understand. I kind of need to read it again, to be honest. But there's little bits that I would take out of it and I would understand. That was great. And then
Eckhart Tolle, right? That was Eckhart Tolle.
Yeah. And then Jump by Danielle Moyles that I read recently enough, and it grabbed my attention straight away from the first chapter. She's amazing. Like it just goes through her kind of life and how she started and then how she kind of grew up out of her it goes through her mistakes and everything. And it's a really good one, I think, for a young girl to read. So there's just a few books. I have so many more on my list that I want to get through. And again, they kind of come to me. So if someone kind of suggests one to me, or if I see one online, I kind of never just go out and find one myself. But yeah.
Nice. Well, there's solid recommendations there. And like what you were saying there, I often say that, like, you know, if it's a person I respect and I know that there's kind of a similar interest, but you telling me those books are good, like I'm fairly confident that I'll enjoy them. So it kind of, there's so many choices, you know, I kind of take some of them out. But that Tony Robbins one is definitely something I'll be investing in myself. So thanks for that, Caoimhe.
He has great podcasts as well, really good ones.
Yeah, like I kind of have him as kind of like an aspirational role model, like, you know, public speaking stuff especially. He is class. So, but anyway, very, very impressive. And yeah, like I have the same kind of feelings about self-directed learning. And, you know, they say like an education can, you know, get you a living, whereas self-directed learning can make you a millionaire, you know, or whatever. You can be as successful as you want when reading those sort of books. And they are important to kind of action afterwards, you know, to execute what we've been told to do. Because
and the one thing I really take away from his book is that, you know, you're going to fail like a lot but you fail for a reason so that you can learn. You know, it takes a long time to get to where you want to be. It's not easy, and you will fail, and you need to learn that it's okay as well to fail. And to take those jumps. Do what scares you.
Yes. Like, and I've never read that book, Jump, but I like it as a philosophy. It's just like, go
for it.
And mistakes aren't the obstacles. Like, mistakes are the way. Like, nobody gets there without making these mistakes. You just have to make them and then learn and make a next one and learn. But I'm all about that. And it's the people that are frightened of making a mistake. They're the people that don't do anything. You know, 100%. Just accept mistakes are.
And I love that word, jump, as well, because from my first job, when I knew it wasn't going to bring me anywhere else, I made the jump to move to a different job where I could learn more and I'd be thrown into it. And it just shows me, if I stayed in that first job for stability, I would not have my boot camp, I would not have my Pilates, I would not have my online classes. I would be still sitting on a pool lifeguarding. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, because it's a great job, a good summer job, but I had aspirations and I needed to go for them. And I jumped. And then to my new job again. And I said, I'm ready. And I just jumped straight away. And people were like, you're crazy. But like, why not? Why would you be miserable in the job you're in? You know, I see it too much in people.
And they're the same people that would tell you not to jump. The people that are miserable and haven't jumped. But it's and like a really strong quote that I live by. It's like, as soon as you're in your comfort zone, it's time to leave.
It's time to get out. Exactly. Yeah. I love that.
I love it as well, because it's not about the steps. It's about where we began and where we ended up.
Yeah.
And it's all the leaving comfort zone, mistakes, and eventually you're just there. But if you just didn't take that first jump, you know, each their own. But I'd be the same philosophy as you. So
I've done a few things that I can't believe I did, because coming from school, I used to nearly ring home sick if I had to read a paragraph out loud in school. And I remember this in primary school, and that carried with me all the way up until I got out of school. And only last year, I've done a talk with you last year, which I was asked because
you were brilliant.
Oh God, I was asked because someone dropped out, so I was, the last option, and it happened again.
Oh yeah,
it happened again in another thing that I got the opportunity to do, and I say yes before fear even comes into my head. I just say yes and I just do it. But I was asked to speak at an all boys school. I did it, and I walked out of my car, and I nearly started crying though, because I was like, that was just the worst experience of my life. But then I realized that was the best experience of my life. That really shook me up.
It does, it can only get easier than that. Yeah.
I done the worst.
That's it, honestly. And even if you were to go into the exact same situation,
I would love to. That's the thing. Yeah.
The experience done. So like confidence is only experience plus confidence. You have to do it, get a bit confident, and then do it well. Like, you're not expected to do well the first time, but that's a tough gig as one of your first talking.
Oh my gosh.
I'd be intimidated going into a group of teenage boys.
Exactly.
So I imagine they love you, but tough gig. And then there was so the self-directed learning, right? So we're all about this life, right? And I get the vibe that you're also kind of this growth mindset individual that, like to get stuff done. And I totally agree with what you said about we can have limiting beliefs from our schooling. And I've seen it as a student and I've seen it as a teacher. And it's the stuff that we get told we're good at and the stuff we get told we're not good at, more importantly or more significantly, it can lead to a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's just I'm not good at school, so I'm not going to try. And then lo and behold, you're not good at school results. And you're not good at sports. Okay, I'm not going to do sports. And then you're not active at all. And those years, it's so important. You can rewire yourself out of it. It sounds as though you are with the reading, but it's much harder to do that if we were encouraging our children and encouraging young people and, promoting the stuff that they're good at instead of highlighting the stuff they're not so good
at. They're
at.
bad at, exactly.
there's less problems then, you know, because those self-fulfilling prophecies actually become positive. Like I have my dad in my corner going up and he's like, Daniel, you can be whoever you want to be. You can, you know, whatever you want to do, you can do with education and generally you can be whoever you want to be. So I grew up listening to that for years. And you know, this is who I am now at 35. So, but that self-fulfilling prophecy, you know, it can be difficult to get out of, but I love the fact that you have. So on that point, Caoimhe Dwyer, I just told you that whatever you're to do next is you're guaranteed to succeed at. There is 0% chance of failure. What are you doing? What does it look like?
Okay, so
you cannot fail. You cannot fail. I don't care what you say. You can't fail.
Okay, so I'd love for it's so hard, isn't it? So I would really love to collab with a brand and make my own natural footwear. That would be a dream. I would love to get as many people and as many households into a natural footwear shoe, or as many people. I would love, modeling is just my passion. I'd love to, I can see myself walking on, you know, catwalk of Tommy Hilfiger. I'd love to shoot for Chanel or, you know, a big brand like that. I'd love to do TV work. I'd love to do presenting. So yeah, I have many things that I want to do.
All of them are possible. I'm going to tell you right now. There is not one of those things that you could not do. Like, and I think anybody would say that to you. I can't walk around Dublin City without seeing your image in some jeweler or something. You're all over the road. The footwear stuff would be such a benefit to us. You know, that's selfless. You know, that's
and the Pilates as well, and just getting people moving better and out of pain.
Well, look, that's admirable, and I'm all about that life. So look, Caoimhe, thank you so much for joining me today. It was much more fun talking to you than it was talking to myself for the last few months. So
thanks so much.
I really appreciate you coming on. And you've educated me, like straight off. I'm sure you've educated lots of people, but like, hopefully. I'll tell you one story, right? So like, I remember being in Leaving Cert year, okay? So 2004, I'm back in my school in Cork. And at the end of the year, we all got these yearbooks, right? So like that kind of American thing is like, you know, most likely to be blah, blah, blah. So under each person's profile, they had their hobbies and pastimes and like goals for the future or whatever. I can't even remember what I had down. But I remember being in class once and I'm sitting next to this girl, I'm just reading through the yearbook and I was like, Holly, that is class. I was like, so like, how did you get in? Like, I goes, I like pirates, but I wouldn't consider pirates to be like a hobby or a pastime. Like, why do you like pirates so much? Tell me. I got so excited. I was like, this girl fucking loves pirates. I would never have guessed. It's like, Daniel, that is Pilates. That is an L. Pirates. I was like, oh, right, Pilates. But I didn't, so look.
That word is stuck in your brain now forever.
Oh, forever. But I think this is the second conversation I've ever had on it. So this one is more informative. So, Caoimhe, thank you so much. How can our followers find you? How can people find you online?
So I have a website called CaoimheDwyerPilates.com. My Instagram then is Pilates with Caoimhe. My Facebook is Pilates with Caoimhe. And then just my normal modelling page is Caoimhe_O_Dwyer. So that's what I'm on.
Brilliant. And guys, if you're going to do yourself a favor, follow this lady. The stuff that she's doing is brilliant. So Caoimhe, thank you so much for joining me today. It was an absolute pleasure. And first ever guest on the DTW podcast.
Thanks for having me.
You're most welcome. Okay, guys, that's it for today. I'll be back again next week with a new guest, learning about new stuff, and you know it's nothing but love. All the very best, and thanks again, Caoimhe.
Nothing but love. See you later.
Nice. I want everybody to say that. I didn't ask you to say that, by the way.
No, you didn't. I just know him so well.